we've seen union leaders use all the tricks in the book to confuse, to obfuscate, to mislead the public. Not only do they wish to drag the railway back to the 1970s, they're also employing the tactics of bygone unions too, deflecting accountability for their strikes onto others, attempting to shift the blame for their action that will cause disruption and will cause damage to millions of people, and claiming that others are somehow preventing an agreement to their negotiation. But, Mr. Speaker, I don't think the public will be hoodwinked. The families will be unable to visit. They laugh, Mr. Speaker, but the families will be unable to visit their relations. Music fans hoping to go to Glastonbury. The students unable to get to their exams, their GCSEs and their A-levels. Businesses just beginning to recover from COVID. And people who will miss out on their medical treatment because of these strikes. That is what they are supporting, Mr. Speaker. They know that this week's rail strikes, created by the unions, organised by the unions, is the full responsibility of the unions too. Of course, we're all doing our utmost to get the unions and the rail industry to agree a way forward and call off the strikes. Because in discussions like this, it's always the employer and the unions who need to get together and negotiate. And in this case, that's the train operating companies, it's Network Rail, and it's their union representatives. Mr. Speaker, we are not the employer, and we will not undermine the process as well. And I hear the calls of the Labour leadership opposite saying we should somehow get involved and perhaps invite the unions for beer and sandwiches to discuss the situation. Well, Mr. Speaker, we all know the leader of the opposition thinks a beer and curry is a work meeting, but we will be leaving this to the employers, who are the right people to negotiate with the unions. Indeed, the unions are in daily talks with the employers. Or at least they were, until they walked out an hour ago to go and hold a press conference saying that the strikes would be on. And, Mr. Speaker, we're doing everything we can, despite these strikes, to minimise the disruption throughout the entire network. We're working with the Civil Contingency Secretariat, the government's emergency planning team, to keep critical supply chains open wherever possible. Operators will keep as many passenger trains as possible running, though, of course, with as much disruption to the timetable, that is going to be very difficult on strike days. And it's estimated that around 20% of planned services will operate, focused on key workers, main population centres and critical freight routes. But there will be mass disruption, and we advise passengers to avoid travelling unless absolutely necessary, which, of course, for many, it will be. The National Rail Inquiry's website will be kept updated with the latest travel information to ensure passengers can make informed decisions about their travel. And passengers are strongly advised to check before they travel and encouraged to look for alternative means of transportation if their journey is affected, including on the days between the strikes.